Hello and welcome back to The Stage Door, presented by Camber Arts on Rogers TV right here in Corner Brook, Newfoundland and Labrador. We are wrapping up our season. It's hard to believe that it's been a whole year of The Stage Door from fall to summer, and of course in the summer, we like to have episodes that are worth repeating. So we are talking about all of the goings-on of the summer in Western Newfoundland arts. So this summer, we will have a couple episodes. We'll have Theatre Newfoundland Labrador with the Grossmourne Theatre Festival. We'll have Stephenville Theatre Festival and their season. And of course, our Camber Arts season right here in Corner Brook. We are so fortunate to be in this community where the Rotary Arts Centre and the Arts and Culture Centre and even the Civic Centre have some events throughout the summer season. And of course, we are a part of that as well. So I'm here with Keira Clarke. Keira has been a part of Camber Arts and Graham Academy for many years. And we are very thankful that she continues to call Corner Brook home as a performer and an arts educator. So, Keira, welcome to The Stage Door.
Thanks. Hello.
Great to have you here. You're doing a number of activities with us this summer, but before we go into that, let's remind everybody where this journey begins for everybody. So where did it all start for you, this love of the arts and arts education?
Well, I joined Graham Academy when it formed in 2016, and I found out about that through Camber Arts when it was Grossmourne Summer Music with the Beatles show, way back in the day. But even going before that, my love of the arts in a general sense started when I was very, very little, when I started dancing when I was 3. So it goes all the way back to, by the time I could talk, I was begging for dance classes. It was everything I wanted since I was very, very little. And I was very fortunate to get to start dancing with Dance Studio West, now Corner Brook Dance Hub. And I've danced every year since, and I've just loved that so much. And then when there was the opportunity to be in the Beatles show, I was stepping outside my comfort zone a little bit because there was singing and there was a little bit of acting, and I was like, I'm a dancer, I don't know what's going on. But I did that show and I took that leap and I just fell in love with it. It was so incredible to find that community and to push myself outside of that comfort zone. And then when Graham Academy formed, I put my name on that list as soon as I could get it in there. And it just gave such a sense of belonging and comfort, and it pushes you, and you get to learn new things and meet new people. And that was back in 2016 when I was 9 years old. And now here I am, 19, and still loving it and pursuing it in school, doing theater. It's just so amazing that it all started back when I was just 3 years old. And I'm so fortunate to get to continue to love it and to work in it, and yeah. Yeah, no,
it's certainly, again, it cannot be understated, the value of the arts in this community, the value of the support for the arts, but, to have that continuation. Dance Studio West was a pillar in the community, and to have it continue in the hands of Candace Pike is a wonderful thing, that it's not only continuing, but continuing with a meaningful approach that was there for part of the journey of Dance Studio West to make it the Corner Brook Dance Hub and change it as it changes, and also keep some things and preserve some things, I think is a beautiful thing. And Graham Academy is that as well. We recognize that we are part of a legacy, part of the legacy of this community with, youth theater like Theatre Newfoundland Labrador did musicals a lot in the early days when Gary Graham was involved with them. And now we are carrying that torch and bringing people back, like Edmund McLean to direct our community show this year. And it's such a privilege to be in a space that recognizes the value of the foundations, and be able to carry that forward is such a privilege, even as we change. Graham Academy is 10 years old this fall, which is amazing. So and through those 10 years, that is hundreds of registrants, from students to adults with our chorale, more than 20 teaching artists that have worked and got work in Corner Brook to do this, that's an amazing thing too. You know, over 25 productions on the Arts and Culture Centre stage. You know, it's a pretty incredible thing to look at 10 years and see like, whoa, that is a lot of things. And of course, alumni that are working in the arts in Newfoundland, in Canada, in the US, in New York, in the UK. It's pretty incredible to see that after only 10 years. You know, that's really, it is a milestone, but we're still a baby in many ways. You know, Camber Arts is over 20 now, and Graham Academy has been there for, you know, nearly half of that, which is a wonderful thing to see the continuation, especially with an artist like yourself who has continued to work with us. So, you know, you went through those programs and grew up with that. Of course, dance was your comfort zone.
Yes.
That was the space that you really immediately excelled and were attached to. So what was it like to push into acting and singing as you grew and challenged yourself?
It was definitely very scary at first. I had no experience with it before I joined things. I was very dance focused and very dance based. That's all I knew, and that's all I had other than the odd school musical. And I was also very nervous and very quiet for a very, very long time. And that was just me as a person. But through joining the program and being involved, not only did I learn skills of singing, and it connected me with Wendy Woodland. I got to do voice lessons with her forever, which was so incredible. And I got to learn from people like yourself to work on my acting. I got to learn how to sing, like to put all those pieces together with the foundation of dance, which I knew and loved and felt very confident in. To put those pieces together just opened me up to a whole new world. And learning those skills, like I'm working on becoming very well versed in the whole musical theater world itself, but it also did so much for me as a person. And like I was a very quiet, to themselves kid for such a long time, but learning these skills and finding that community because in dance I was very much in my comfort zone and I was very confident and very sure of myself in that space, but in other aspects of my life, I just couldn't quite find that. But somehow through singing and acting, I was able to find my voice as a person and find confidence in my life and learn so many skills about public speaking and communication. And it meant so much more than just learning how to sing a song or learning how to say a monologue. Those are skills that I love and I am continuing to work on, and I am so grateful to have the opportunity to do so. But it did so much for me as a person, and it means so much to me, like in my soul and in my life, that like pushing myself outside my comfort zone to sing, because I was always so afraid to do it. And now it's something I love to do. And I had no idea. I thought dance was my home base, that was it, that's where I stayed. But I do love to sing and I do love to act. And now I'm pursuing theater at Grenfell with a big acting focus. And I never thought that that was something I would do before joining these programs and learning these skills and getting to work on them. And it's just so incredible to get to have that. And like it took me some time, it really did, to find my comfort in those spaces, especially with all my peers who, again, are all such incredible people and such incredibly talented performers. They're all wonderful, but a lot of them grew up in a singing background or in a dancing and singing background. Like a lot of people had that balance. And now obviously I wasn't the only one who came from a dance background, but I was one of few who had none of that beforehand. Mm-hmm. And so I treaded very lightly for a very long time, but once I finally had the courage to throw myself in head first, I have now found a way to bring the three up together as opposed to being a staggered stack with dancing and acting and singing. Like they feel so much more on par now. And it's just so incredible to get to, I've said incredible like 12 times, but it's true, it's how I feel. And yeah, to come from that background and now to have all three and have been working on all three now for 10 years, it's so crazy.
It is. I think it is an incredible thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's always worth recognizing that we are privileged to be able to do what we do. You know, it is a privilege to perform in front of an audience. It is a spectacular privilege to be able to do that at home. You know, that's a gift. A lot of people have to leave. Have to, not want to, must. So having the ability and opportunity to do so much at home and make a living, that's a pretty special thing. And, you know, we have some great folks this summer that have been making a living mostly here for a long time. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to share that and be able to have emerging artists like yourself alongside some veteran performers. So I think that's an excellent thing to be able to do. So before we talk a little bit more about what's coming up in the summer, what would you say are some of the greatest takeaways from your time in youth theater that you're taking with you on your current journey through, you know, a professional program at Grenfell?
Oh, wow, that's so tricky.
I know.
Hard questions, Ian. Wow, I think the biggest thing, like aside from the actual skills themselves and the things that are so important, like the building of the singing, of the acting, of the dancing, I've learned so much about community. And I think that is one of the biggest things I take with me. Like I'm very fortunate to be one of these people who gets to stay home. I get to do what I love right here. When I graduated high school, it was a huge hassle and it was very frazzled of everyone figuring out where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do. And I was super all over the place for a really long time. But I realized that the community I have here is just, it's so welcoming and so encouraging. And I am able to do what I love and work in what I love right here at home. And getting to transfer from one of the youth and one of the children in this community who has just been looking up to all of these performers and educators and getting to transition from a student to a colleague and to a fellow educator, it's just an experience unlike anything else. And getting to pursue that and getting to work in that alongside people who I've looked up to for the last decade, like you can't get that anywhere else. It's just so incredible. And the sense of community, the sense of safety and comfort, and it really does. Everyone pushes each other, but at the end of the day, you're all going to sit down together and just be. And it's so nice, and getting, theater and musical theater is just so emotional and so personal. And getting to share that with not just an audience, but also the people you're on stage with is so beautiful. It's so wonderful. And it's something that I didn't have beforehand. There was a sense of community among friends at school, family at home, but that community built through theater is one of the many, many things that I absolutely take with me as I transition from a youth to an adult in the world. And it was just, I am so, so fortunate to get to do it home with the people that I've looked up to for years. It's so amazing.
Yeah, no, and I think building community is what theater is.
Absolutely.
It's what theater is for. You know, you look at nowadays in particular, how often do we as people get together for one purpose? That is not work, you know.
Yeah.
We can all watch a show.
Yeah.
However, it is rare to see people get together and all of you are there for that moment in watching a play. And that's rare.
It is.
You know, I think one of the beautiful moments that I can remember, one of the most beautiful moments about social media was seeing the Blue Jays, because we felt united, like everyone was talking about the same thing. And that was theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sports team that we're all watching, but we are watching it.
Yeah.
We are making stories. And I thought it was a beautiful way of like, that's theater, that's connection.
Yeah.
That is like, we are making ties across personal views and across things. And that's what theater's for. And, you know, certainly for the past 15 years, Camber Arts has been in Corner Brook, you know.
Yeah.
We were Gross Sports Our Music for a lot of the time that we were in Corner Brook. But, you know, Splash was 2010 on Margaret Bowater in the Glen Mill Pond. You know, that's a long time ago, you know, and that was a significant show. So we've been bringing shows to Corner Brook for a long time. And a lot of these are stories rooted in this place. And I think that is so important, you know, while we celebrate, you know, Stephenville Theatre Festival does incredible work bringing musical theater to the stage in that small area, following the legacy of Maxim Mazumdar, who of course also founded Theatre Newfoundland Labrador, which does a great job of bringing stories of the Great Northern Peninsula to the Great Northern Peninsula. But Corner Brook has stories as well, and that's part of what we are striving to do. So this season with Camber Arts, we have Turncoat Hill. That's playing Sundays starting on July 5th and then going 6 weeks through the middle of August. That's a beautiful script by Rory Lambert from Kings Point. It's set in that area, so a little more central than Western, but it continues our traditions of telling stories steeped in fairy folklore. You know, last year we had Barley Leg and the Logger's Dream, and this is another story rooted in that fairy folklore of Newfoundland that is so fascinating to explore. And we are returning to Blow Me Down Ski Lodge, this time outside whenever possible. If it rains, the show will go on inside the lodge, which is a beautiful venue in itself. That one actually features Keira and myself and is directed by Cassie Lukeman. So all Grenfell connected with that one, which is really cool. We have Outport Echoes. That's a continuation of our Tales from the Tides and Echoes from the Outports, condensed to Outport Echoes. Because we realize we are choosing songs all through Newfoundland and Labrador, both in time and place. We have a pretty amazing company of multi-instrumentalists that are coming on board for that. We're really excited to share that. And of course, Kevin Hamilton and Jennifer Billard are returning to be involved, along with some new faces, which we're very excited to have. And we have railway ties at the historic train site, and that is going back to our roots. At that site, we had a great time with some interactive murder mysteries, and we know that a lot of families really enjoyed that, but we need to take a break this year to reinvest in hopefully a new one for the following year in 2027. So 2026, we're telling a musical history story on the train. A bit more of an intimate setting, as it's a bit more sitting down. We're still walking through, but a lot of the show is going to take place in that passenger car where you can sit and enjoy the show about the generations of people who worked on that 100-year history of the railway. From the 1880s to the 1980s, this was a significant part. And we're getting further and further away of knowing what that was to take 28 hours to cross this island. And I think we're in an era that time is so important that, you know, we're looking at the fastest way to get to any place. So allowing us to slow down, I think, is important. So that tells some generational connectivity between the railway families in that region. We have a couple one-off events as well. We have actually coming up very soon, June 26th, Sing Out Loud. That is a musical theater karaoke. That's in partnership with Bay of Islands Pride. It's going to be a very fun evening. It's hosted by Barry Glickman and D.T. Allen from The Prom. So we're bringing it back in a Camber Art style with myself and Marcel in character hosting musical theater karaoke. So that should be a lot of fun. We have Jody Richardson and Nicole Hand coming out with their tour the following evening, and we have For King and Country, a choral concert at Corner Brook United Church in July, and on August 11th we get together around the piano to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Gary Graham through music with Music Alone Shall Live. So it's a lot happening. It's pretty wild. That doesn't include the camps and their presentations. We have 2 camps in July, both with a presentation at the conclusion of that camp. One presents a 1-hour musical and the other presents solo performances. And Keira, you're in a lot of that.
Yeah.
So what are you excited about this summer?
Honestly, I'm excited about all of it. I am excited to see things, to be involved in things, to work in things. It's such an incredible season, and I can't wait to be a part of it. As you mentioned, I will be involved in Turncoat Hill, and I'm also in Railway Ties. For Turncoat Hill, I've always loved fairy folklore. It's got a special place in my heart, so I'm super excited to dive into that and really tear it apart. And the Blow Me Down space is just so amazing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. So I'm super excited to be back there again this summer through the fairy folklore, ghost story aspects. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
It's a beautiful story of what remains as we live, and I think there's something quite spectacular about that. We can't say too much about that show without spoiling it. So you'll have to go. But it's a great way to spend a Sunday evening. And of course, Railway Ties, you have your own Railway Ties at this point,
really
and so do I. It's been a long time of doing shows on that train. Yeah. My gosh, 2014 would have been, so it's over 10 years that we've been doing shows on the train, with a little break for COVID, because no one wanted to get in a metal tube at that time. Our audience, with social distancing, would be 6 people probably. So we had to take a break then. But what is it like to do that? You've been involved in both some of the historic pieces as well as some of the murder mysteries. So what's it been like to get to do that? And also as a youth as well as a professional, you know?
It's just, I started as a youth in some of the history performances and the historical stories. So that was very interesting because, again, I was super young when I started. I had never done anything like that. When I thought of a show, I thought of it very traditionally, as in people on a stage, audience in the audience. So to be in an environment where your audience is this close to you and can walk around and is just there while you're doing a scene was definitely took a little bit of getting used to, but once I realized the connection that's formed there, it is so interesting and it's so immersive and I love it. And the train, I have such a love for the train now. Yeah. It's so sweet. Every time I drive past it, I'm like, oh, the train. I'm so excited.
No, we have such connection with that, and John Parsons, who is still running that place, is just a legend. Lovely. And we need to support these venues. Absolutely. I had a call with John. They have to up their annual fee for going to go to the museum however many times you want, from $3 to $5 this year. What a steal, come on. What else can you get for $5 to get to go through this history? And we have been so privileged to bring that space to life again. And that's what it's all about. And this one is a musical, so we are working with a lot of Newfoundland Labrador musicians to incorporate their work into this story. And I think that's just so exciting to have such support from musicians here to use their song in a new context. But we have such great instrumentalists, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of funding support from the federal government and the provincial government to make this happen, as well as Arts NL, and a lot of corporate donorship, including Harbour Financial, our gold level sponsor for 2026. We're just really blessed to be able to do that. And so we hope to see you there. Yeah. That would be the gift, is come. Support local theater, support local stories. There's flexible payment options. There's a pass again this year that you could see all 3 productions. We also have some pay what you choose options available, because we do not want anyone to have to be turned away. We know times are tight, and we're not an exception to that, but we also recognize the privilege to perform, so we don't want anyone to miss out. And of course, there's more. That's staying here in Corner Brook. Grossmorn Theatre Festival has a great season. Nettie Norris Night, of course, coming back. That's already open, hitting the ground running. There's also Having a Time with Danielle Payne. Great to be able to see that in Cowhead. Stars in the Sky Morning, one of my favorite pieces of Newfoundland theatre by Rhonda Payne. That is being revived in Grossmorn. Again, another Northern Peninsula story. There's Music on Main. That's a bit more contemporary Newfoundland Labrador music with Alison Crowe. Also some sketch comedy in that. And there's One Foot Wet, a romantic comedy by Robert Chafe. That's going to be a really great show to see out there. Of course, Robert is no stranger to Western Newfoundland in his writing and storytelling. And Building Houses by Megan Gale Coles. That's another in her trilogy set in the Northern Peninsula. This one going actually back before, look at a lot of Indigenous connection and Indigenous culture. So that's going to be a really special show. That one opens in late August. And of course, our friends at Stephenville Theatre Festival have a big season 2. June 20th, Jazz Apostles with Andrew Perry coming back to Stephenville. Very exciting. Shrek the Musical. That's a great show. That's a really, really fun musical. Get to see that if you can. There's also Bingo Ladies, written by Grant Tilley. Much more of a small-scale show. Laura Caswell, artistic director, has written Grumpy and Grim. That's the family show this year, which is actually currently touring schools around Western Newfoundland. And there's Made in Canada Toonie. So that's the performance celebrating Canadian music, bringing in some guest artists for various performances. That's going to be a lot of fun, and we will be talking with folks from Theatre Newfoundland Labrador and Stephenville Theatre Festival through the summer. So like I said, we have 3 episodes that are going to repeat through the summer, and we're so excited to be a part of that community. Of course, the Rotary Arts Centre, Arts and Culture Centre still have a lot on the go too. Don't forget to check their websites, and you could always purchase tickets for us at camberarts.ca or give our box office a call. We're very fortunate to have a great staff this summer, including Keira Clarke. And thanks for tuning in at the Stage Door, and we'll see you next season. Thanks.